So, how do you personally rationalize your negative experiences in life?
Personally rationalize. Oh my. How do I personally rationalize my negative experiences? Well, there are two kinds, really. There's the negative experiences that are put on me by someone else, and there are the negative experiences that are my fault. And I have to understand the difference between the two. From a completely clinical approach, I can't do anything about the ones that were put on me. Mm-hmm. These are my trauma, if you will. These things happen to us, and all we can do is trust God with them. And but then there's the ones that I cause.
So as I get this last slice of pizza here, tell me what it means to truly surrender to God.
So what's the big deal about holiness and following the book and this whole sin thing?
Let's talk about a big word, a big Christian word. Let's talk about sanctification. It's such a big word that it takes me forever to write it. Sanctification. I mean, look at that word, would you?
I think that often when people talk about sanctification, I think they view it as a doctrine or a belief of victory. I've overcome sin to the point that I don't break any of the rules anymore. I'm just perfect. Well, that's not.
Well, are they really perfect, or are they just deciding certain things aren't sin?
Fair enough.
Because that's where I'm going with this. Let's just not call this sin anymore, and then I'm perfect.
Yeah, I don't view it that way. I view it as a habitual act of surrender to the voice of the Holy Spirit. In our lives, and forgive me, I'm not an artist, so there's our heart, okay? I can't draw an anatomical heart, so this is all you got, right?
Right.
It's about to get worse. In everybody's heart is a throne. That's not an H, that's a throne, all right? And on that throne is me. I'm on the throne, because I'm in charge of my life. I'm in charge of my heart. This is the way that the whole world sees it. Follow your heart, okay? So that's what they see. I'm on the throne of my heart. I'm making a decision. I would call this unsaved, right? In other words, I've not yet received Christ.
The normal process is for me to be on the throne of my heart. I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm going to take care of me. It's about me. That's normal. My self-caused trauma happens here. I put myself on the throne of my heart, and there's nothing to take me a right direction. That some of my not myself trauma comes from here because I had myself on the throne of my heart, and I allowed myself to get into situations that ultimately the trauma was not my fault, could not be blamed on me in any way, shape, or form, but in reality, I knew I was going to a dangerous place. Mm-hmm. Still wasn't my fault, but I knew I was going to a dangerous place. It's before I really know Jesus. It's before I've invited Jesus into my heart. It's just me in there, and I'm running everything. There comes a point, I'm convinced, in everybody's life where they begin to realize their need for God, and hopefully when they realize that need for God, they invite Jesus into their heart. But I'm still on the throne. So Jesus is here trying to direct my life. I would argue actually that's the Holy Spirit, but
correct. I get it.
Jesus is here trying to direct my life, but I'm still on the throne saying, I'm not going to do that, Lord. And I'm still making choices from those places of hurt, from those traumas, right? Even the ones that I didn't cause and the ones that I did cause, I'm still sensing all that. I'm still making choices based on that, even though Jesus is in my heart. Now, the good news is Jesus and the Holy Spirit are in my heart, so they're helping me think differently. Mm-hmm. There's some healing going on, but I'm still the one in charge. So forgive the phrase, but I use this phrase from time to time. The inmate is still in charge of the asylum. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So because I'm the one that's broken, and if I'm the one that's broken, but I'm the one that's in charge, then I'm still breaking things because I'm in charge and I'm broken. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. We're going to call this saved, but my sins have been washed away. He's cleansed me. When I invite Jesus into my heart, he comes into my heart. Mm-hmm. And he's in my heart. That happens. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean sanctified. Sanctified or sanctification
is a big word that simply means set aside for sacred purposes. When we get to sanctification, what happens is we still got the throne, but now we've got Jesus on the throne, and I am following him. The actual action being taken is I'm surrendering to the Holy Spirit. I'm surrendering to Jesus so that he now sits on the throne and he makes the choices.
That's where healing can actually take place. The pains, the hurts, when people did me wrong, all of that comes, sometimes I don't cause it, sometimes I do. No matter which, it damages me. And if I have to do that here, I have to do that alone. If I face it here, I have Jesus and there's some comfort, there's some healing, but I'm still trying to figure it out on my own. Mm-hmm. But when I'm here, and I don't know how to really explain that other than to say the Holy Spirit guides and the Holy Spirit helps. When the Holy Spirit helps me here, I start making choices that are beyond my capacity to even make. I start understanding things that are beyond my capacity to understand. I start having peace that's beyond my capacity to have. I start experiencing healing that I've never been able to find on my own. Mm-hmm. All of those things happen here because God's in charge. They can't happen here because he's not even there. And they don't happen well here because he's not in charge. Mm-hmm. But here I find freedom. And so when I face those kinds of hurts, deserved or not, the only thing I know to do is simply place them in God's hands and say, I need you to show me what to do with this.
I think the decision to go from here to here is an event. I think that we make a choice in a point in time. I choose to let Jesus in my heart. Jesus enters my heart. That happens in a moment in time. It's an event. It's preceded by a lot of other things. It's preceded by a long process of coming to trust Christians or coming to trust Jesus or coming to trust the gospel. But it's actually an event where there's a moment. In this moment, Jesus was not in my heart. In this moment, he was. That's an event. Now, here's the issue. We often will take Jesus back off the throne and put me back on the throne. So I think that the process of sanctification here, we go back and forth between these two.
Okay, so it can be one step forward, two steps back.
Right. But the more you surrender, the less likely you are to take a step back. You will not gain full victory, but you can be fully surrendered. And then you'll suddenly realize one day that you took part of it back. And because you took part of it back, you're not fully surrendered anymore. You're falling back here. You're not good because you mess up. You don't always fall all the way back to here, but somewhere in here we end up falling to. We need grace again to move us back towards sanctification. Or once in a while, I'll just fall right back to here because I still want to be saved. I'm not going to run away from Jesus altogether.
But I want to be in charge today.
Yeah, I just want to be in charge.
So if this is surrender, mm-hmm. I hear Christians talk about victory all the time. Where's victory?
I think the victory is on the other side of this life.
So
let me back up. We have small victories all along the way. We have small victories. I always have small victories. I overcame this habit. I overcame that addiction. I overcame this problem. I repaired that relationship. We have small victories along the way. Ultimate victory happens on the other side. Here's my ultimate definition of sanctification. Sanctification is the quick, habitual process of surrendering to the voice of the Holy Spirit whenever I hear it. Sanctification is not never doing anything wrong. It's not never having a bad thought. It's not never being tempted. It's the habitual pattern of surrendering to the Holy Spirit's voice as soon as he speaks.
Wow.
And the faster I surrender, the more sanctified I am because I'm leaving Jesus on the throne and I'm not trying to pull him down. I think that what God is calling us to is not perfection, It's surrender.
It's like that meme saying, Jesus, take the wheel.
Yes, yes, yes.